Hey friends, it's Pastor Julie checking in for your midweek children's time. Again, we're going to start by reading some scripture. So get out your children's Bible and turn to Matthew chapter 20. Today we're going to read Workers in the Vineyard, which is verses 1 all the way through verses 16. So Matthew chapter 20, 1 through 16. The kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. After he agreed with the workers to pay them a denarius, he sent them into his vineyard. Then he went out around 9 in the morning and saw others standing around the marketplace doing nothing. He said to them, "You also go into the vineyard, and I'll pay you whatever is right." And they went. Again around noon, and then at 3 in the afternoon, he did the same thing. Around 5 in the afternoon, he went and found others standing around, and he said to them, "Why are you just standing around here doing nothing all day long?" "Because nobody has hired us," they replied. He responded, "You also go into the vineyard." When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his manager, "Call the workers and give them their wages, beginning with the last ones hired and moving on finally to the first." When those who were hired at 5 in the afternoon came, each one received a denarius. Now when those hired first came, they thought they would receive more, but each of them also received a denarius. When they received it, they grumbled against the landowner. "These who were hired last worked 1 hour, and they received the same pay as we did, even though we had to work the whole day in the hot sun." But he replied to one of them, "Friend, I did you no wrong. Didn't I agree to pay you a denarius? Take what belongs to you and go. I want to give to this one who was hired last the same as I give to you. Don't I have the right to do what I want with what belongs to me? Or are you resentful because I'm generous?" So those who are last will be first, and those who are first will be last. That ends the reading of the scripture. So this parable today about the workers in the vineyard is about jealousy and about thinking things are not fair. So the workers feel like they were cheated because some of them worked longer and some of them worked shorter. So they assumed that the people that worked longer assumed that they were going to get paid more than the people that worked shorter. And that's not what happened. But what happened was they each got the same amount. And they weren't treated unfairly. What happened was they started comparing themselves to other people. They were comparing what they have to what other people have. And so a lot of times we all do that. Like maybe your friend has a bike that you want, or a phone that you want, or an iPad that you want. And so sometimes we say, "Ugh, I deserve that. I'm a good person. I should have that." And even Pastor Julie does that. I find myself saying, "I wish we had what somebody else has." So I'm going to show you one of my things that I do about that I need to work on. Let's go.
One of the things that I complain about is our sign at Redeemer. I complain that it's hard to change it when the weather's really cold. And And when the weather is really hot, twice this summer, hornets made nests. And so we couldn't change the sign on one side until we took care of the hornet's nest first. So I complain about this sign a lot, saying I want to be able to change the sign, but it's not easy to do so.
And then sometimes I drive by other churches and I get jealous and say, man, I wish I had their sign.
I've been complaining about signs a lot. I even complained about it yesterday. But what I need to remember, and what we all need to remember, is that someone is always going to have a bigger house than you, or a better sign than you, or something else that we want that we don't have. But what we do have, what we all have equally, is God's grace for us. And God's love. We all have God's love equally. And we all get God's love because of God's grace for all of us, no matter what we do or what we have. God's love and grace is for all of us equally. So this week, I'd like you to think about crosses and hearts, grace and love that we all share equally. See you on Sunday.